Hey lady, welcome to the Confidently Her podcast, where we will take the journey together from being stuck in our past to confidently being in control of our future. Are you emotionally drained from all of the judgment placed on your life from yourself and others? Are you stuck looking back at what could have been instead of what is and what will be? If you said yes, then hang on tight. My name's Megan, and in this series, I will share the tools to help you take the wheel of life and lead you to find the confident her in you the way I found the confident her in me, without looking back or giving a damn about what other people think. There's an unstoppable woman inside of you who's ready to wipe the guilt, shame, fear, and anxiety out for good, who's ready to start living her life confidently on her terms and no one else's. So girl, let's do this because you are worth it. Hey lady, I am so excited that you're here today. If you are new to the podcast, welcome to you. And if you've been here with me for a while, welcome back to you. Before I get into today's important topic, I did want to share some exciting news. If you live in Maine and are in my area, I am officially a health coach with Orange Circuit Fitness in Auburn. I'm there Monday through Friday, and I do have a variety of group fitness classes going on. So we have a boot camp class, a kettlebell class, and a HIIT Tabata class. And as a gift to you, as my listener, you can take advantage of 15% off using my code CONFIDENT. Come check out a class if you have a chance and sweat with me. Let's go ahead and dive into today's message. Today's topic is very important to my heart. If you have been here with me for a while, you know that I struggled with eating disorders for a few years. I have experienced both binging and purging and also anorexia. It all came to a head for me in 2013 when I was hospitalized for 5 weeks. One thing that I want to shed light on and keep talking about is the importance of overcoming eating disorder thoughts. So that is what I am going to dive into today. Let me ask you this. Have you ever said things like, eating will make me feel better? Eating a donut will make me fat. If I don't carefully control my diet, my weight will spiral out of control. I should only eat when I'm truly hungry. Have you ever said these things to yourself? Your eating disorder is truly a beast, and if you're struggling currently with one, I urge you to keep fighting. I know from experience the days it feels the most tough are the days that changes are actually happening internally. I have talked to you about thought work a lot on this podcast, but it is a key component when it comes to eating disorders. We are with our thoughts 24/7. If you're feeding into your eating disorder and listening to the thoughts that it's telling you, that is where you need to begin your healing process. And I promise with time and practice, you will be able to fight back because eventually that's what I was able to do too. And guess what? Over time, those dysfunctional thoughts do eventually die and you can move on. I thought it was also important though to touch on where these disordered thoughts begin. Let me start here. Think about your childhood when you're 3 years old and you're given a plate of food and your mom just says, eat another bite, right? Like they kind of force you to eat the food. Or you are going to be able to have a piece of cake if you finish all of your food. Just eat one more bite, things like that. It's really instilled in us at a very young age to ignore our internal instincts that we're born with. Like we are all born with natural instincts that tell us when we're hungry, what we're hungry for. And at a very young age, we're taught to ignore those signs that we're gifted with and ignore how we truly feel. Ignore that we're stuffed, but we were told we can have a piece of cake. So we eat all of the food that makes us stuffed and then we stuff ourselves with cake, right? Like it begins at a very young age. But the thing is, this is learned behavior and those are learned thoughts and those can be unlearned just the way that they were learned. So how do we combat these nasty thoughts? So today I wanted to share 5 things that really helped me get to where I am today. Number 1, you have to externalize and diffuse your thoughts. So before accepting your thought as a command to follow, I'm asking you to externalize it. So for example, when you have the thought, I can't eat this cookie, label that thought as an eating disorder thought and rephrase it as, my eating disorder is telling me not to have a cookie. Once you diffuse the thought, it becomes easier to choose a better course of action, which may involve disobeying the eating disorder, right? So this could be as simple as, thank you, eating disorder, but I'm not going to listen to you today. I don't want to let my mind bully me. The more you practice this and separate your thoughts from your eating disorder thoughts, the better you can diffuse and keep moving forward. Number 2, challenge the thought. Okay? The next time something comes up, I want you to ask yourself any combination of the following questions. The first question, what is the evidence for that thought? So if you keep telling yourself, if I eat a cookie, I'm going to gain 5 pounds. There's actually no evidence for this thought, right? Because a cookie could not possibly constitute enough calories to make you gain 5 pounds, right? So is there truly any evidence behind the thought that you're thinking? 9 times out of 10, there's not. Ask yourself, what are some alternative beliefs? So if you keep saying, I shouldn't eat unless I'm truly hungry, an alternative belief could be, since I enjoy eating with my family, I need to sometimes work my mealtime around the needs of others. So this may mean I'm going to be eating when it's a time for a meal, even if I'm not super hungry. Another question, what are the consequences of having this thought? So for example, if you're one of those all or nothing people, which is something I used to do too, you'll say to yourself, I've already blown it, so I'm going to go ahead and finish the box of cookies and start my diet tomorrow, right? The consequence of this thought is that it's causing you to binge, which makes it worse because you end up eating even more than if you just worked on accepting what you already had eaten, right? Because it's okay to eat a cookie. It's okay to have 2 or 3. That's better to accept that behavior because that's a normal behavior than sit and binge and eat the entire package of cookies because you think you've blown your day over eating 2 cookies. The trick is to acknowledge the dysfunctional thoughts and replace them with facts. This is going to reduce that stress, right? It's so stressful when it comes to this thought. So insert more functional behaviors that support your recovery. Number 3, make a coping card, okay? This is what I want you to do. Take an index card or any card that you have at your house and write the automatic or problematic thought on one side and then the rational response on the other. This is a really great strategy that I learned in my healing process for those problematic thoughts that come up repeatedly. And it's a good idea to review those cards daily and keep them close by, like even in your purse. Throw them in your glove compartment in your car, anywhere that you can pull them out whenever you find yourself having these automatic thoughts. So, for example, a common problematic thought could be, I'm bored. Eating will make me feel better. So write that on one side of the card. On the other side of the card, write, eating when I'm bored will only make me feel worse, right? Because I know for me, in times of boredom, when I was feeding into my eating disordered thoughts and I would sit and eat a whole bag of chips, that's not going to make me feel good. That's going to make me feel worse. So write your problematic thought on one side and the rational response on the other, and study them like you're studying for a test in high school. Number 4, disobey your eating disorder. I can't express this one enough. I want you to take out a piece of paper and make a list with 2 columns. In one column, write down, my eating disorder says. And then in the other column, write, recovery requires. So on each line under eating disorder says, write what the eating disorder tells you to do. And on the corresponding line under the recovery requires column, write down how you will specifically disobey that command. So for example, my eating disorder says skip breakfast today. In the recovery requires column, you want to write down recovery requires me to eat breakfast. Another example, eating disorder says exercise today. However, recovery requires me to take a day off, right? The more you disobey those eating disordered thoughts, the less power they're going to have over you. So keep practicing and keep that piece of paper nearby too. Number 5, Run a behavioral experiment. Make a prediction. So if you keep saying to yourself, if I keep eating dessert every night of the week, I'm going to gain 5 pounds. That's just a thought that you've created and it's turned into a fact in your mind. So run an experiment to test it out. Weigh yourself at the beginning and the end of the week, okay? And then have dessert 5 nights that week and check to see if your prediction came true. Over time, you're going to see that a number of beliefs are not accurate. So I did this exercise when I was in the hospital because part of my meal plan was to eat dessert every night. And I also was on a plan to not partake in any exercise. So the entire 5 weeks of intensive therapy, staying in the hospital, I had to eat dessert. And I remember crying when I first got there because I was so convinced that I was going to gain so much weight because they not only wanted me to stop exercising, but now they wanted me to enjoy dessert every night of the week. And I was so shocked that I hadn't gained a pound at the end of that week. So it really goes to show you that these beliefs are so self-created and they become facts in our minds. Like it's just merely a thought. So prove to yourself that these are just thoughts and facts that you're creating yourself. Please remember that I am not a doctor, but I do believe experience can be really helpful, and I have years of experience, unfortunately, fighting my eating disorder thoughts and behaviors. Even to this day, I truly believe that once you struggle with an eating disorder, it never fully goes away, but you can manage it. But if you are really struggling and you haven't yet, please seek out your doctor. I am actually thankful for the time I spent in the hospital in intense therapy because it helped me find hope. And I think hope is the most important thing to have when you're struggling with an eating disorder. I hope these exercises help you find light in the darkness. I will talk to you next time. Thank you so much for listening in today. If you really enjoyed this episode, I would so appreciate it if you shared it with a girlfriend who might need to hear it too. I will talk to you next time.